Thank you so much. I wanted to first express my gratitude for being here in China. Throughout today's training, I am going to give you the aha moments and help you think differently. So, some say there are no secrets in selling. I disagree with that, and if I was to share some of my best secrets with you today, would you be open to that? Okay, thank you so much. Everybody take a seat. Get your pens out, because you cannot reflex an idea, but you can reflex the actual words. You see, we each have a challenge today. The challenge for me is to give you these aha moments so you think differently. The challenge for you is to program the information into the most powerful computer that there is, and that's your brain. Starting from the bottom is not a deficit, it's a gift. You see, I watched my parents struggle and get down to their last dollars every single week. And at 18 years old, I was introduced to Tom's material, his audio and his visual. The things that I'm going to teach you today is the how-tos behind sales training. But before I do that, I want to share a story with you all. I remember hearing that decisions would decide your wealth. And after being the top sales professional competing against tens of thousands of individuals, I received a phone call. Hello, this is Mr. Tom Hopkins. Oh my gosh, is Tom calling me right now? This is crazy. Taylor, I would like for you to fly to my house in Arizona and come speak at my seminar in Los Angeles, California. At that time, I was 24 years old, and I considered that a success-defining moment. Now, today is another success-defining moment and one of the most important days of my life, because I'm here to serve you all. You see, I'm gonna help you think differently right now. We should have never been called salespeople. We should have been called servants, because we are in the business of serving and helping others. When you stop selling and start serving, you will get everything you want in your life. So I flew to Phoenix, Arizona to Tom's home. And I went out to dinner with Tom. And at 24 years old, I asked Tom, what are the best 3 pieces of advice that you would give me? And if I was to share those 3 pieces of advice that he told me that changed my life, would you benefit from it? Okay, get ready to write this down. The first piece of advice that Tom told me was do what you fear most. A lot of the time, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. The main thing for me was to keep the main thing, the main thing. The reason I got to be the #1 sales professional against thousands of sales professionals, I had 0 distractions. I never worked ever. I played a game, and that was the game that I played to win. The second piece of advice that Mr. Hopkins gave me, we must do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. Always I talk to myself and tell myself that, Taylor, are you doing the most productive thing possible at this given moment? Self-talk, the way that you communicate with yourself, the way that you envision yourself. A salesman is first off a man that can sell himself to himself. They have an absolute catching belief about themselves, their product, their service. So do what you fear most. We must do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. And the best advice, the biggest life lesson is about to come. Are you ready? Before Tom was trained by a gentleman named J. Douglas Edwards. J. Douglas Edwards is known as the father of modern day selling. And Mr. Edwards traveled by coach bus to run seminars just like this. He did 65 seminars in 75 days. And Mr. Edwards was very high energy. You see, sales is the art of 2 complete opposites. Communication. It's not what I say. It's not how I say it. It's how I can make them feel. and persuasion. Persuasion is asking the right questions to solve people's problems. So Mr. Edwards was on stage and he was just giving very high energy. You see, Tom was always a front row guy. At this particular seminar, he was in the back of the room. Now, Mr. Edwards was up there teaching and he passed out on the stage. They called an ambulance. Tom immediately grabbed a taxi. He said, "Follow that ambulance." He waited, and then he finally went into Mr. Edwards' hospital room. And at that time, Tom had told Mr. Edwards that he intended on taking his place. But he said, "I have one question for you." He said, "Why do you give so much?" And Mr. Edwards' response is the most important life lesson that Tom has ever given me. Mr. Edwards said, "The reason why I give so much is because I always want to give people way more than they expect. Not just in sales and life." You see, I'm extremely grateful for this man right here for giving me these success-defining moments, for believing in me. Like I said from the beginning, starting from the bottom was not a deficit, it was the gift. It allowed me to focus on the continuous journey towards the achievement of predetermined worthwhile goals. This is me when I was 24 years old and spoke at that seminar with Tom. Okay, I want to talk about how I became a double champion in 2 different industries. Do any of you guys recognize that gentleman right up here? Here's your first nugget, so get ready to write it down. You have to have absolute certainty on your mission. When I first met Elon, he said something that has stuck with me. He said, "I believe in winning." And that's when I started to communicate with myself. Losing is not an option. We are all trying to become the best versions of ourselves. You might feel inspired right now, but we are simply just exposing you to the material. It's up to you to decide that you want to be the champion. Next to the word success should be sacrifice. There's a lot of sacrifice that's involved with this process, but temporary imbalance is how you are going to get ahead. You see, there's 2 major things that will motivate you. In this corner is a challenge. There's been times where people have doubted you. There's times when you doubt yourself. You're suffering from self-doubt while others are intimidated by your full potential. Challenge and comfort, 2 of the greatest motivators. In the demotivators, you become bored or you become burnt out. You see, if the challenge is way too much, you're going to eventually become burnt out. If you get too comfortable, you're eventually going to get bored. Money is the lowest form of a motivator. How many of you guys have ever heard about my why? I'm doing this because of my why. It's not about your why, it's about your who. So I want to share with you a picture. So these 2 pictures, this is my father. My daddy's always had health conditions. And when I got into sales and watching my father struggle, I knew that one of the most important motivators for me was to make him proud. And this is my wife. You have to work hard for your family, because in sales, you have the opportunity to write your own paycheck. You have to dedicate yourself. You have to memorize. You have to practice. You have to drill. And you have to rehearse. Practice does not make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. So there's one secret ingredient to being able to build the life that you want. When you maintain something in life, it will eventually become exhausting. Now, building is energizing. So the secret ingredient to building is having fun. Are you guys having fun today? Yes, I love it. Okay. So these are the 5 most important fundamentals that I focus on as a sales professional. Number 1 is clarity. A confused mind always says no. People will react to the range, the volume, the pace, and the diction, even when they don't understand the words. You see, if you weren't paying attention in the back, you might hear me now. Hey, I see you guys there in the back. You see, they just reacted to the volume of the way that I spoke. In sales, you need to be able to mirror and match the family that you serve. Number 2, repetition. You need to hear, read, write, and say something 6 times to gain 62% of the retention. Number 3 is energy and enthusiasm. The individual with the most energy makes the most money. So let's see who has the most energy in this room. Clarity, repetition, energy. Number 4 is belief. Think about how a prize fighter would envision themselves, the best of the best fighters. They know they'll win before they even start. They're absolutely certain on the outcome. You have to start envisioning on what you do right and stop focusing on what you're doing wrong. From this point forward, I want you to only focus on the things you do right and stop focusing on the things you do wrong. So why would any practicing professional spend so much money on a reception area? If you walked into a 5-star hotel and the furniture was dirty and it was messy, would you have a lot of confidence? So what is a salesman's reception area? Salesman's reception area is his self. But you might have a bad week or a bad month in selling and you start beating yourself up. So what you're doing is you're kicking over the reception area furniture. A salesman is somebody that believes in himself. They have an absolute catching belief about themselves. And it starts with the way that you think. Okay, I want you to tap in with me. We're gonna tap in. Tap, 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 tap. The things we think about will create the words. The words create an emotion. The emotion creates a feeling. The feeling creates the judgment. And the judgment creates the decision. You see, when I do sales, all I do is I teleport my energy out of my body to the family that I serve. They start to think. Words come out of their mouth. They have an emotion. They have a feeling. They judge me, my product, and my service. And they make the decision. All closing a sale is creating the decision. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you guys manage or you are in charge of other individuals? If I was to tell you the number 1 role of a manager in sales, would that be beneficial to you? Nobody wants to be managed. People want to be impressed. And to impress others, you must be impressive. The number 1 role of a good sales manager is selling salesmen on selling. You have to be addicted. You have to be obsessed. You need to take it personal if you weren't one of the ones that got one of these trophies, because losing cannot be an option. So I want to give you the psychology on why people say yes. Why? You are the product and the service. People rarely buy off people they don't like, trust, or want to listen to. 55% of the sale is body language. 38% is my tonality, and 7% is the words that I speak. But more than half of the sale is the enthusiasm or the spirit you have within. E for energy. Like I mentioned, the people with the most energy make the most money. And S goes back to being a servant and serving others. The 3 most reasons why somebody is going to tell you no, the psychology of why somebody tells people no. Number 1 is that they were confused. Number 2 is they had lingering questions. Number 3 is you didn't explain the benefits. An objection is a tactic used by the buyer to stall the decision. The buyer has the obligatory right to tell you no until you give them the excuse to say yes. Who has a stronger belief? Good. You have a stronger belief. You shine with conviction. I always tell myself, sales are easy. They've been waiting to meet me today. They'd already talked about doing business with me. And I always focus on mirror and matching the family that I serve. Remember, it's communication and persuasion. If you can blend those 2 complete opposites, how you can make them feel, and asking the right questions to solve these people's problems, you'll become a champion. So who here is a champion? Enthusiasm! Show me who is the champion! Show me! Show me! Show me! Show me who's the champion! 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 He's ready to go! He's ready to go! faith.
这就是这种激情啊！
He has a catching belief about himself. He believes in himself.
激情不一样。
Thank you, thank you.
这个掌声送给他啊！
That's it. He has an enthusiasm or a spirit within. All right, so I want to go into my last slide, and I want to really dedicate my first time being in China and express some gratitude to the gentleman behind me, Mr. Tom Hopkins, right now. So, Tom, I really want to thank you for all the opportunities that you've given me.
Thank you. I love what you do, man.
And-
You were wonderful.
And I'm looking
太不可思议了。
I'm looking at you right in the eyes right now. Not only am I going to carry on your legacy, I'm going to make you so proud. There's only one sales trainer that really has the crown of the greatest of all time, and that's Mr. Tom Hopkins. I want you guys to really express your gratitude to Mr. Chen Jie for bringing Tom here, because when I came to these type of events, it made me want to work so hard, and he did a lot to get Tom and myself here for you. I'm going to end on this note today. There's 3 specific people that you need to find in your life. This is very important, so pay attention. The first person that you need to find is somebody that you want to emulate. And for me, Tom was always that individual. The second person that you need to find is somebody that you compete with on a day-to-day basis. And the third person, which may be the most important person, is you need to find somebody that you're mentoring. And I would like to personally mentor one specific person in the crowd to give them all the knowledge that not only that I learned from Tom, but from walking the walk, not just talking about it, but walking the walk. And there's one individual that I want to personally take under my wing. And I know sharp when I see it, and I already have absolute certainty of what this individual will do in their life. First comes the action, then comes the motivation. And I would like to invite up onto the stage somebody that I personally plan on mentoring. He's only 10 years old. Let's give it up for Jason.
他虽然只有10岁，让我们掌声邀请。
Let's give it up for Jason.
来，掌声。
First come the action, then come the motivation.
So Jason is going to be teaching millions of people one day. And I can tell by looking at your eyes, you have to stay focused and you're going to help millions of people. Everyone, let's give it up for Jason. I am thankful for everybody's time. I'm extremely grateful. Thank you so much.
非常感谢。